Hello, everybody. How's it going? Welcome. All right, we're gonna go ahead and get started. It looks like we've got a lot of people here today. Let's see. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. All right. Okay, so today we are going to be talking about verification and exploring the process. The class is going to take about an hour and a half. I may have a little bit extra if you want to stick around. Hoping to wrap up right about 3 o'clock. There may be a little bit of extra content, so if you want to stick around, you're welcome to, or otherwise you can log right off at 3. But I'm excited to be here today, and hopefully you'll learn some stuff. And anyway, let's go ahead and get started. All right, so this is me. My name's Wendy Pine. I'm one of the NSLP specialists here at Region 11, and I work mostly with the schools up in Cook and Denton counties, and I have one school in Wise County. A few years ago, I was actually a free and reduced specialist in a large urban school district, and so I had this job, and it was very challenging. So just so you know, I understand for those of you who have this assignment that it's not easy. So I think it could take several years to get really good at it and to understand everything. But in the meantime, we're here to help you. So if you have any questions during your verification process, please feel free to reach out. We want to help you learn the ropes. Also, if you have any questions during the class, please feel free to type in chat. And I believe Heather's going to be manning chat. So, and Heather, feel free to just jump in and unmute if there's a really good question, or if you want to, if you think it would help everyone. So feel free to jump in, Heather. All right, here's the rest of the team. So we have Alicia, Ashley, Heather, and there's Patty, who's our program assistant. So we're just happy to have you here today. Housekeeping, it doesn't really apply because we're all virtual, but like I said, if you have a question, please use the chat, and we're happy to interact however we can. Acknowledgement statement, just hoping that you'll understand that we're not going to cover the entire scope of verification. You still are responsible for knowing and understanding and etc. So, all right. So who should attend this class? You can see on the board pretty much everybody. So obviously we want the verifying officials, directors, anyone in the child nutrition department, administration, even business and finance managers. It would be worthwhile. And just before we get started, just from my own personal experience, the first time I went to a seminar to learn about verification, I had no idea what they were talking about for the first 15 minutes of the class. So I just want to start right out of the gate. If there's anyone that is not familiar with verification, I just want to tell you what it is really quickly. So verification is a process of reviewing approved applications. So anyone that's applied for free and reduced lunch program and we've approved them, we're going to take a sample of those approved applications and just look at them and make sure that the household income matches up with the eligibility process. So, so each district has to take a portion of those applications as of October 1st and attempt to contact each of those households either by phone, email, text, however, and request that they send in proof, documentation that substantiates the income, or proof of government benefits that they put on their application. And then once the family mails, emails, faxes, or brings in the paperwork, so we're looking for like pay stubs, tax returns, that sort of thing, to the district office, and a verification official must review all the documentation sent in and then make a determination of eligibility. Either we're going to decrease the the benefit, continue the same, or increase the benefit. And if the household doesn't respond, then the district has to follow up with a second notification prior to termination. All right. Okay, so just the class outline today. So we're going to talk about the verification timeline. So when things are due, we're going to talk about establishing a sample size. Then we're going to talk about checking the household documentation. And then finally, at the end, we're going to talk about completing the verification process and submitting reports. All right, so first of all, we're going to talk about the verification timeline. All right, so the big day is October 1st. This is when the verification process begins. We need to have it wrapped up on November 15th. That's a hard deadline. And then the report that we need to turn into the Texas Department of Agriculture is a JOT form. It's located in TX-UMPS. We'll talk about that more. It is due November 23rd. So those are our big dates. All right, so let's talk about meeting the verification deadlines. So who conducts the verification process? Well, whoever is in charge of this is a big deal. You want to get ahead of it. This person actually needs to be designated in the application packet in TX-UMPS. And then the district needs to maintain a written description of the verification process, which needs to be uploaded during an administrative review. So just kind of map out how you do verification, your process, written plan. All right, and here's another little bit more detailed timeline. The verification up here is hyperlinked, and this will take you to a PDF with deadlines and action items. We also have everything that I'm going to refer to in this webinar is going to be linked on our Region 11 Child Nutrition webpage. But all right, so the timeline. So October 1st, we're going to count the approved meal applications on file. And then on October 5th, we're encouraging everyone to run a direct certification upload download / direct verification on October 5th. That way we can see if there's anyone in our verification that we can get rid of and we don't have to actually contact the household. We'll talk more about that. On October 31st, this is a big day. This is the October 31st survey. So this is when you're going to count every single kid in the school district that's enrolled. And then on November 1st, the verification report JOT form actually opens up in TX-UMPS. So you can start putting information in. On the 15th of November, we're done. There's no more information. We're done with the whole process. And then finally, a week later is when we will submit the JOT form. All right, so first of all, let's talk a little bit about the students that are excluded from verification. So there's some people that we're just not going to need to verify. Texas ELMS matched includes extended eligibility too. So we're going to talk about the Texas ELMS match. So we've got SNAP, TANF, Medicaid, free and reduced. So if someone is directly verified, we don't need to verify them also. They've been verified. Direct certification without an application. So this is migrant, runaway, homeless, foster. This is your district liaison that's verifying them. So we don't need to do a verification on them. Free and reduced application from an administrator. So if there's a special situation where a principal or a school counselor filled out the application, we're not verifying that. And then also students attending CEP sites do not need to be verified. Also, just in case it's not clear, if there's a denied application, so if a family applied and they made too much money and didn't qualify for free or reduced, you're not verifying any of those. So it's just approved applications. There's something called verification for cause. I want to talk about it really briefly, but this is verification for cause is a case-by-case situation when the school is aware of additional income or people in the household, or there's extra information that would indicate that there might be a mistake or a misrepresentation on the application. If you have questions about that, you can talk to us later, but verification for cause are not going to be in our sample size, but we will add those onto that November 23rd report. So just a quick example would be if a family put in 2 different applications by accident, like maybe the mom put one in and the dad put one in and they were not the same information, something like that. All right, so we're going to just review really quickly. If you want to type your answers in the chat, you can do that, but we're just going to review what we've talked about so far. So the first thing we're going to say is CEs begin verifying applications by counting the number of approved applications on file on or before what date? So what date do you think this would be? And what it means, October, okay, it's October 1st. You can start early if you want, especially large districts. If you know you're going to have to verify over 100 people, you can just start getting that process going. And then once you get your actual sample size number, then you'll know how many to stop at. But all right, let's go to the next one, the blue. CEs must select a sample size for verification on what date? So when is our sample size selected? So this year is a little tricky because the date is actually October 1st, but I believe that falls on a Saturday this year. And so the Texas Department of Agriculture says we can start on the next operating day, which is October 3rd. So that's us. So we're going to select our sample size on October 3rd. All right, let's look at the green sentence. CEs must determine the total number of students enrolled on what date? So go ahead and type it in the chat if you think you know. All right, I'm not looking at chat, so I'm just assuming you're typing in there. So this is October 31st, so Halloween. And then our red sentence, CEs must complete the verification process on what date? So this is our hard deadline when we're done. Okay, so this is going to be November 15th. Now, the thing about November 15th is this is a hard deadline. So whether it falls on a weekend or a holiday, the process must be complete. And then finally, CEs must submit the job form into TXUMPS on what date? Okay, so this is November 23rd. All right. Okay, moving right along, we're going to talk about establishing the sample size. So this is the amount of applications that we're going to try to verify. So which applications must be included in the verification sample? So we talked about the ones that are not included. These are the ones that we must throw into our sample. All right, so first of all, we're going to choose other source categorical eligible, which means households that write an EDG number, like they have SNAP, but they didn't show up on the direct cert list, but they're writing in their number. Or it could also be a family where they've put a foster child and they checked the box next to foster child, but it wasn't verified through the liaison. So the person in your district that's supposed to have that big old list, this child didn't show up on that list and the family checked foster. So we just need to just make sure that they really are foster. So we are going to throw them into the sample. The other applications, of course, are going to be income eligible. So they did not directly certify, but they filled out an application and they put down how much money they make and they either were reduced or free. So those are all going to get thrown in. All right, so there's something called a sampling method. So a sampling method is the way that the USDA has set up to determine how many applications the districts need to verify. Now, if you're a very small district, this is not a big deal. I know there's some little dinky districts where they're just verifying maybe 1 or 2 or 3 applications, not a big deal. However, if you're in a large district, we're talking hundreds or thousands of applications. So this becomes a very big deal. The district that I was in, I verified, I think like 128 or something like that. We had like 30,000 kids. So you can imagine a really big district that's not CEP. This is a gigantic project. So this can be a really big deal for large districts. So the normal sampling method, it's called standard. It's 3% of error-prone applications. So that's what most people are going to do. There's something called an NRR, which is, and we'll talk about that in a minute, but if your NRR is less than 20%, then there's a couple of other alternate methods that will make it easier. So we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. All right, so the overall goal, especially for large districts, is to increase your response rate year over year. So if you have a really good year and most of your families respond and submit documentation and proof of income, it's the non-response rate. If your non-response rate is 20% or less, then the following year you get to do one of the easier sampling methods. So if you look at the alternate 2, you would only have to do 1% and a few of the direct certs. So that's what you're aiming for with the big districts. For little districts, not as big of a deal. So let's look at the non-response rate. So there is actually a math equation on how to figure out the non-response rate, and I just made a really easy one. So the calculation is the number of households selected that did not respond divided by the number of applications selected. So the example, Happy Valley ISD, let's say they were required to check 100 households for verification. 82 provided documentation and 18 just did not respond, couldn't get them on the phone, didn't bring anything in, just nothing. So the non-response rate for this school district would be 18%. So 18 didn't respond, 82 did. So that's actually pretty good. So the following year, this school district would be able to do one of the alternate samples. So anyway, hope that makes sense. If you need more explanation on that, contact me after. We've got lots more to go into more detail on that. All right, so the way you establish, you decide what you're going to be. Also, just to let you know, TDA will calculate this for each district, and they actually have it posted on Square Meals right now. So, and I'm going to show you where that is. And we also have it linked on our webpage. So you can go there and look up your district and see if you're going to be a standard sample or if you have the choice to do alternate. Also, you don't have to do alternate. You can do standard, but again, just TDA will tell you what you qualified for. So a little bit more about standard method. So CEs must use this method if they had more than 20% of non-response rate in the previous year. So just looking through this, CEs must select 3% of all applications on file or 3,000 applications, whichever is less. There's very few districts that are going to have 3,000 applications, so it's mostly going to be 3%. Once the number is determined, the selection of applications must first be selected from error-prone applications. And error-prone applications just means that those income applications that come in where they're really close to the cutoff. So they're within $100 a month or $1,200 a year of the current eligibility guidelines. And we'll go into that in more detail too. So they're just really close to being reduced or really close to being free or really close to being denied. Those are going to get picked. If there's not enough error-prone applications, then you'll just select non-error-prone applications to complete the sample. Alternate method 1 is 3% or 3,000 of random. So we're not picking error-prone, just whatever out of the whole barrel. And alternate 2, which is the best one, is you only have to do 1% or 1,000, whichever is less. And then you have to do a really tiny sample of just some approved SNAP or TANF applications. All right. One other thing I want to talk about here is the confirmation review. So if you look at an application on the back where you've got the officials and the signatures and all that sort of thing, that's one of the boxes. So the confirming official, once you've got your sample, the confirming official has to review all of these applications just to make sure that the initial determination was correct. There are some districts that just go ahead and do the confirming at the beginning, and that's fine, but it's not required. So, and then if there were any that were selected for cause, they also need to take a look at that. And just wanted to ask a question really quick, just to see if you know, and you can type into chat too. My question is, can the person who reviewed the applications initially and made the initial eligibility determination be the same person who conducts the confirmation review? So is this yes or no? So can the first person that had the applications also do a confirming? Okay. All right. So the answer is no. It needs to be different people. And like I said, the confirmation review can be part of the initial certification process, but it's not required. And in the district that I worked in, we did have 2 people. So I was the first person to see him, and then I brought him to the administrative assistant, and she confirmed him. And then when we pulled for verification, it was already confirmed. But it just, my director wanted to feel confident about it, and it was my first year doing it. So, and she did catch a few that I messed up. So it's not a bad thing. All right. So this is a snip of the back of the application. So you can see that on the far left corner, the reviewing official signature, and then the middle one is the confirming official signature. Now, if you have a point of sale system, which I'm assuming most of you do, you can fill out, you can request a waiver. And what this is, it's in Square Meals, and the waiver will basically just make it so that you don't have to have the confirmation signature. It's just automatically done by the computer. And I think I've got that link on another slide, but I'll show you where that's at. All right, so moving on, CEs may replace up to 5% of the verification applications in the pool under the following conditions. So household moves or the inability of a household to respond to the request. So what we're talking about is replacement applications. So let's say that you're required to do 30 verifications, and right away you realize that one of the families that you pulled has already moved out of the district. You can replace that with another one. Also, if something happens where you realize that there's some, for whatever reason, the household is not going to be able to respond. So whether that means like they're out of the country, or they're in jail, or in the middle of a divorce, and one, you know, if it looks like there's no way they're going to be able to do the verification process, you can actually replace up to 5%. And let's see what I've written. And if 5% of your applications is less than 1, you can just replace 1. So you also want to make sure that you document why the replacement was made, just in case a reviewer sees it and asks questions. That way you can remember what the deal was. All right, so we're going to go ahead and take a 5-minute break. And then when we get back, we're going to watch a video about the verification process. So I hope you guys are doing okay. So take a break. Okay, welcome back, everybody. All right, so we are going to get right into a video. It's from Making It Count. This is a great little video that kind of explains the entire verification process. It's made by the state of Massachusetts. And so some of the lingo may be special for Massachusetts, but it's the same thing. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and play it, and it's about 10 minutes long. It's gonna talk all about the whole verification process, the sample pool, the sample size, talking about error prone, that sort of thing. So I hope you enjoy it.
Under the National School Lunch Program, starting on October 1st of the school year, school districts have until November 15th to complete the process of verification. To do this, districts must examine a randomly selected number of approved applications to verify the eligibility for free and reduced price meal benefits of the children listed on the applications.
The verification activities are part of National School Lunch Program regulations and require that a certain percentage of applications be verified. The United States Department of Agriculture does not expect and does not want all applications to be verified. We're looking at a sample size. It maintains integrity in the program. There's a sense of that those that apply for a benefit are truly entitled to that benefit.
It is the verifying official's responsibility to conduct verification, and verification must be completed by November 15th. In this section of Making It Count, we will take a look at the steps involved in determining the sample size, conducting direct verification and paper verification, and the practices to follow once you have verification results.
The verifying official is usually the food service director in the school district, but some districts have other people who do that function. It all depends on who they designate to be that person. In some of the small districts, like the private schools, the residentials, or the regional schools, a lot of time it's done by someone in the superintendent's office.
Unlike the confirming and determining officials, who review applications at face value, the verifying official must rely on official information or backup documentation in order to prove that the eligibility determination that was originally made and confirmed is accurate and valid, or not.
USDA has updated regulation so that once an application has been determined for a certain benefit level, it is that benefit level for the entire school year. However, if an application is selected for verification,
From. The sample pool is based on the total number of approved applications the district has on file on October 1st. It is not based on the number of eligible children on the application. Moreover, the sample pool should exclude the following: children who are directly certified, other source eligible children who were documented as migrant, runaway, homeless, or participating in Head Start or Even Start. Applications in which the children listed were denied benefits. These applications were not approved. applications in which the only children listed are foster children. Other exemptions include foster children who are included on a free and reduced price application, although other children listed on the application are subject to verification. Children who reside in a residential child care institution, or RCCI, and schools participating only in the school milk program. Refer to the eligibility manual for additional exclusions from verification. The total number of applications included in the sample pool is used to establish the sample size. Once the sample pool has been determined, the verifying official establishes the sample size. The sample size is the actual number of applications that will need to be verified. School districts can use the standard sample, or if they qualify, an alternate sample. Alternate sampling is done most often in larger districts and is relative to non-response rates for the previous school year. For more information about alternate methods of sampling, refer to the Eligibility Manual for School Meals. Most school districts use a standard sample. A standard sample is taken from error-prone applications.
Error-prone applications are those applications that fall within $100 of the monthly income eligibility guidelines.
For a household of 4, the Federal Eligibility Income Chart, which is updated annually, indicates a monthly income threshold of $3,631. So, if a family of 4 has a monthly income of up to $100 more or less than $3,631, then the application is considered error-prone. If income calculations are based on other income frequencies, then the error-prone threshold amounts would be based on the following ranges. Within $24 of the weekly threshold amount for applications with weekly income. Within $44 for applications with income every 2 weeks. Within $50 for applications with income received twice a month. And within $1,200 above or below a family's annual income.
USDA has made the requirement that error-prone applications be selected for verification because they have found that those are the applications that have a higher tendency of error than those that are not within that dollar amount.
To establish a standard sample, districts can choose whichever is the lesser. 3% of all the approved applications in the district as of October 1st selected from error-prone applications, or 3,000 error-prone applications that were approved as of October 1st.
Once the sample size has been determined, the school district must pull from applications that have previously been identified as error-prone applications.
We actually do a physical count of our paper applications. We are a fairly small district. We do not have thousands of applications every year. Actually, this year we had 127 paper applications that we need to verify. So we physically count the applications, we pull out the error-prone applications, and then we physically pick randomly those applications.
If you need to verify 10 applications, you pull 10 applications from the error-prone pile.
If we do not have enough error-prone applications, we pick our initial sample from the error-prone applications, and then we take the remaining applications out of the general pool.
The point-of-sale system we have actually does the selection, which makes life very easy.
Be sure that the POS system is set to the correct sampling method that your district utilizes before determining your sample size.
The POS system will go through and identify those applications that are error-prone and will make the selection on behalf of the school district.
Let's say that you had 127 approved applications on file. That would be your sample pool. You would multiply your sample pool of 127 by 0.03 to get your sample size. 127 multiplied by 0.03 equals 3.81. Round that number up to 4, and that will be the number of applications you will need to verify. You must always round up and may not over or under verify. 3% is the sample size you must use. Let's say that out of your sample pool of 127, only 3 applications were error-prone. As long as you include all the error-prone applications you had, which you've already earmarked during the approval process, and select one other application at random from the remaining applications, that would complete your sample. Once you have determined your sample size and selected the applications for your sample, you can begin the process of verifying the applications.
All right. Okay, I hope you like that. The Making It Count website, it's really good. And if you want to get on there and mess around a little bit, I think it's a great training place for whoever needs to learn more about it. So I would encourage you to do that. Let's see. Am I ready back on? Okay. All right. So we're going to look at a little quiz that's in the Making It Count website. It's just how to find error-prone applications. So hold on just a minute. Okay. Okay, I think I might skip this. Hold on just a sec. Okay, we might skip this just for today. But if you want some more, practice, this is a great little place to go look and find error-prone applications and learn a little bit more about sample size. But since your point of sale system does most of this for you, it's probably not super necessary. But all right, so moving along. Okay, there's another thing that's really important that I think everyone should go take a look at. It's on TDA. It's the Square Meals sample size worksheet, and that on the screen there you can see kind of like a little section of it. So basically what this is, it's a great little worksheet. It helps you choose the correct sample size. So I really encourage you to do that. And it's hyperlinked and it's also on our website. So what you do is you'll put in the number of approved applications in your district. So you'll put in your categorically eligible, you put in your income free, your income reduced, and then how many error-prone applications you have. And then it will actually calculate if you want to do the standard 3% or if you want to choose an alternate, it will actually calculate it out for you and tell you exactly how many. And the most important thing on this, of course, is if it ends in some sort of like a fraction or decimal, you'll round up and it'll round up for you. So there's no second guessing. So I'd really encourage you to, after the webinar, to jump on that and take a look at it. It's a great tool. All right, so moving on, we're going to talk a little bit about direct verification. So there are a few ways to verify or to make sure that a family is receiving the correct benefits for their income bracket. First, we're going to check and see if they might be receiving some kind of government benefit like Medicaid. And if that isn't the case, then we have to move on to the next step, which is asking that they send in a proof of income like pay stubs or tax returns. So first, we're going to talk about direct verification. All right. So direct verification is basically the same as doing direct certification. The main difference is if someone shows up on this list, then we don't have to verify them. You can just check them off and say they're verified. So for those of you that aren't familiar, there is a website called Texas ELMS, and it stands for the Eligibility List Management System. It is, it's how you can match the students to Health and Human Services. Oh, okay. Oh, they are. Oh, I need to flip it around. Thank you. Okay. Hi. Just a minute. Sorry. Okay, sorry about that. Okay. All right, so anyway, direct ELMS or direct verification in Texas ELMS. All right, so direct verification opens up October 3rd and it closes up November 15th. So it's a really quick one-stop shop to directly verify your sample list of students. And there's a hyperlink here too that'll show you. All right, also on direct ELMS, there's some really neat tutorials that will show you how to get your files ready to upload. You've got to do Excel documents, and there's some really good videos and that will teach you exactly how to set it up. So I would encourage you to go to squaremills.org under the Texas ELMS for training and videos and take a look at that. All right, and then finally, the notification letter for selection and verification. The CEs must provide households with a notification letter that the household has been selected for verification unless the household has been directly verified. So TDA recommends that you conduct the October 5th DC match and direct verification prior to sending out the notification letters. Make sure the USDA non-discrimination statement is on the letters and make sure it's current. And we have templates and Square Meals that you can just use directly, so you don't need to come up with any. Also, we've got some really good sample letters on our website. So I'll show you a couple of them. So one of them is, we call it the cheerful notification letter. So it's just really phrased nicely, and you can put in your school district name and logo and just use it directly off of the USDA website. So we've got all those links. And then we've got some how to respond flow charts, just some great tools to help make verification easier for you. All right, and then verifying household eligibility. There's a few things that you'll be able to use. So you need written income evidence. So they must provide household documentation that shows gross income received for every individual for the most recent full month. Agency records. So if they're in a government program, it could be a benefit issuance form. And then there's something called collateral contacts, where if the family puts down that they have no income, then what we're going to do is request an explanation of how they're living, like how their basic needs are being met. So this could be like a pastor at church or a relative and they'll be asked just to document, well, they're living in our house and we're taking care of them, that sort of thing. So just whatever assistance is being provided. So this just kind of shows all the acceptable documentations that you can use. Of course, the easiest one is pay stubs. You can use a letter from an employer. You can do copies of bank statements, ledger books, last year's tax return, pension benefits, copies of checks, unemployment money, SSI money. So any of that will work. All right, we're going to take another really quick break. And then when we come back, we're going to do just our last section on doing our paperwork and our report. And then we're also going to do a little quiz. So we'll be back in 5 minutes. All right. Hey, we're back. Okay. All right. So I just want to take a couple of breaks because it's a lot of information. I just don't want to overdo it. So hopefully we're back on track here. So wrapping up the last part of the presentation, we're going to talk about completing the verification and submitting the reports. And this is probably the most important part right here. So one thing that we need to do is keep really good records. If your district is getting reviewed by the Department of Agriculture, they are actually going to look at this really carefully. And there are always findings on verification just because it's just such a meticulous process. So just try to do your best and keep track of everything and stay organized. And we're going to give you a couple of tips to do that. All right, so the first thing that's required for Texas is called a verification report individual household form. And I've never seen this required in the other states that I've worked in, but I actually think it's a really good idea. So what it is, it's just an 8.5 by 11. You're going to use one sheet for every single application that you're verifying. And you're actually going to print one out and it's got to be filled out and attached to each application. So the place where you find this is squaremeals.org. You're going to go to the National School Lunch Program page and click on the verification and eligibility section. And then there's a little rectangle up at the top that says application verification. So just click on that. And then you're going to scan down to the bottom of the page and it's called verification report. I've got it circled there. So what you do is you just put the name of the household, how many people are in the household, how many students are enrolled, the date that it was selected for verification. Then you're going to put your basic or alternate method. And then you're going to basically keep track of every time you've reached out to this family to request income documentation. So there's a first notice and a second notice. You can obviously do more than 2 notices, but they just want to make sure you try it at least twice. And then the next section is just talking about what their income is and how you confirmed it either by wage stubs, documents, collateral, contacts, that sort of thing. And then if you were not able to confirm the eligibility, then you're just going to check that box that says eligibility not confirmed. And then at the bottom, makes it really easy. You get to choose, there's no change. So like they were free and you verified that they're free, there's no change. And then you sign it and date it and you're good. If there are changes, then you check that off too. So it'll say reduce price to free or reduce price to paid, free to reduce, free to paid. There's all kinds of different things that can be going on there. And then you put the reason for the change. So this just, I think it's a great little form. And then when the reviewers come through and look, they'll see that you did it all the right way. So anyway, I'm a fan. I think it's a great form. So make sure you go to Square Meals and get some of those printed off. All right, this is another slide I just did to give you an idea of something that you could do just to keep track of the people you're verifying. Again, if you're only doing, 3 or 4 verifications, you don't need to do this. We're talking like if you're doing hundreds. So I had an Excel spreadsheet when I had this job and it helped me a lot. So you just put all the family names. I believe I organized them in order of, I can't remember. I might have done it alphabetically. I can't remember. It doesn't really matter, but basically I just wrote down when I sent out the first letter saying, hey, you're being verified, send us your documents. The first follow-up, so if you call or text them, the second follow-up, if it's an email or another letter, however, and the date, and then the documents you've received, and then what the result was. So this is just so you can keep it all on one spreadsheet for yourself. I mean, it's not necessary, but I kind of liked it. And then the best part about it is the notes section, because sometimes you forget if you talk to them and you can write down things like, yeah, I talked to her on the phone on October 21st, or I talked to the husband, or the husband's going to come in after work on Tuesday, just so you can kind of keep track of it. So when they come in, you remember who it is. It just, trust me, it can get really confusing. So having some sort of planner like this is going to help you a lot. So if you look at my fake planner, you'll see the notice of adverse action. So there's a few on there, like the first one, it says notified November 15th, termination of benefits. They just didn't respond. Or there's one that says they stayed free. And there's even one, the Gomez Villa family, that I said was directly verified. So you didn't even send anything out. So anyway, I hope that makes sense to you. I feel like it's going to be really helpful just to keep tabs on everything. We're going to talk a little bit about non-responsive households. So if they fail to contact you after the initial or follow-up request is made, or if they provide incomplete information or documentation, like if they're just giving you the wrong stuff and you just cannot verify their income, they're either unwilling or unable to provide evidence, then that's called a non-responsive household. So the non-responsive households is just, they're not contacting you at all, wrong documentation. Also, if they put no income and their collateral contacts just aren't willing or able to provide evidence. So that's a non-responsive household. And just the question that everyone asks is, how many times are you required to follow up to contact the household? So you need to send out the letter, the initial letter. How many more times? You only have to do it one more time. So that's the minimum that they require for you to reach out after you've sent out the letter. And another thing that people don't realize is you can actually text people, and I got better response from texting. People were not picking up their phones for me, but I got a lot of texting back. So, and then I would sometimes, if they would text me, I would say, hey, can you call me? So a lot of people just don't understand what it is and they're afraid. And so once they realize it's not that big of a deal, it's just that initial contact to get them to get back in touch with you is hard. All right. So we talked a little bit about this, but our results for verification, they boil down to 4 categories. So no change in benefit level. So the household's current initial documentation supports what they were approved for at the beginning of the school year. Reduction in benefit level is if their income came out too high, so they brought in pay stubs and they just make too much money. So they can go from free down to reduced, or they may go from reduced down to paid. An increase in benefit level, I actually did see this every once in a while. It's kind of funny, but the family qualifies for free instead of reduced. So I did have a few bump up. Termination of benefits, this happens quite a lot. It's just the households that don't respond, or that their documentation just shows that they don't qualify for free and reduced, and you have to terminate them. And we'll talk a little bit about that too. So this is called a notice of adverse action. So the most important thing about this is you're basically going to terminate them off the program. You have to do this either by email or post office. You cannot call them and let them know. So the email or the phone call, you need to describe the change in benefits and the reason for the change and how to appeal the decision. The notice has to be given, you have to give them at least 10 days. It's called an advanced notice period before the benefits are stopped. And then the district has to enforce the actual reduction or termination of benefits no later than 10 operating days after the advance notice. So it's basically 20 days out. So you can eke it out. So if they want to appeal, they disagree, they have other information they didn't give you, whatever. We're just basically giving them time to dispute this whole deal. So if the household does appeal, the CE has to provide household benefits during, we have to keep giving them benefits until the appeal's done. So just keep giving them free lunch or whatever it is. And then of course the hearing official has to be someone that's not involved with the application or verification process. It cannot be an FSMC company employee. It's typically the child nutrition director or superintendent. So, and if you have issues with that, give me a call. I've already had a few questions about hearing. It's not very common, but once in a while, you'll have to go to that. Another big question we have is, can they reapply? So yes, absolutely. So any household that's been terminated, they can reapply at any time during the school year. The big deal though is you have to verify the resubmission, and you need to tell them that. So just say, you can go ahead and reapply, but I'm going to have to verify you again. So, and that did happen to me too. They had to bring in more recent pay stubs, and I don't remember how it ended up, but you have to verify them again. All right, so the required reporting. So this year's a little bit different than previous years. TDA last year, they did a sort of like a preliminary report that was due in November, and then they did a final report that was due in February. So they've changed that this year, and they're just doing one jot form. So that makes it simpler. So that's good. So the February is out. It's just a November deal, and then we're done. So it's called a verification report jot form. It's going to open up on November 1st. You can find it in TXUMPS. So you just go to the download forms. It's an SNP, so School Nutrition Program 123. Now you can go ahead and start entering data into that as soon as the report opens up in November, and just complete it after November 15th. So if you've already got a bunch of people that you've got verified and they're done, or you got some direct verifications done, don't wait until the end to do the start. I would really recommend that you start filling it out, just start getting it ready. Just don't submit it yet. And then on November 15th, when your process is complete, so in other words, you're not allowed to contact any more families, it's just whatever you've got, we're done. Then you've got a week to finish that up and make sure your numbers are correct, and then you can submit it by the 23rd. All right. All right, so just to reiterate, the process has to be done by November 15th. And then it has to be submitted by November 23rd. And since it is a jot form, we're recommending that you make a copy of it somehow, just to document that you completed it. Just jot forms make me nervous because you submit it and then it just disappears, and you're thinking, did they get it? If it just disappeared into space and you have to refill it out, you don't have your data. So just make a copy of it. It's just best practice to do that. And I don't know if TDA will continue making it a job form. We'll see, but they're going to try it out this year. So if it works well and it's a good process, I imagine they'll continue doing that. All right, so we've got a few minutes left. So we're going to do a little activity. So this is a Q&A activity, and I'm going to open up the chat so I can look at your answers. But what we're going to do is it's just a Q&A, just to kind of review the whole process of what we learned today and just see if you guys remember what you've seen and heard. So the first question is, hold on. All right. When does the verification process begin and end? Anybody want to type in the chat what the answer is? When does verification begin and when does it end? So we're looking for dates. Anyone? Anyone? Awesome. Okay. Good. Okay, so the official process begins October 1st. But since that lands on a Saturday, TDA is allowing us to start on October 3rd. So the total number of approved applications must be determined on October 3rd. And then the verification process, of course, has to be done by November 15th. Good job. All right, next question. All right, what does the verification official do if an application is selected for verification, but the household transfers out of the school district? What is the answer? What do you do? So you pull them, you look it up and find out they're not living there anymore. Good job. Okay, pull another application. Correct. Replace it. Good. And I remember I had to do 3 or 4 of those. So good job. Don't have to verify and pull another. That's correct. Good job, everybody. All right. So remember that one number, the sample size, it has to stay the same. So if you're required to do 50 and you get rid of one, you're down to 49, you need to pull another one, so you're back up to 50. All right, question number 3. If the sample size is a 4.2, should the verifying official verify 4 applications or 5 applications? Okay, good, you guys all got it. It's 5, you got to round up. There's administrative review findings every year because someone rounded down, or it's got to be exactly the right number. And again, if you use that sample size worksheet on Square Meals, you'll be good. Also, if you want to run it past us, we can double check it for you. 5, good job. Partial numbers must be rounded up. All right, question number 4. May CEs verify a larger sample than the required, such as 5%? Okay, we just talked about this. So that's a no. Yeah. Yeah, they want the exact right number. So if you're doing the basic or the standard, it's got to be 3%. If you're doing an alternate, then yeah, you just got to follow the rules on which sample size you're doing. So you can't just be like, I'm going to verify 10%. You'll get a finding. If you're not getting reviewed that year, you're probably okay, but just try to get in the habit of doing it the right way. So when you're under review, there's no issues. All right. Oops. Sorry. Oh, God. Okay, my activity thing. Oh, anyway, we'll just read through it. All right, this is false. True or false? All applications need to be reviewed and signed by the confirming official. So this is false. So only the applications chosen for verification need to be reviewed by the confirming official. But like I told you, in my district, we went ahead and confirmed them all just because my director was nervous about it. But you don't have to. It's up to you if you want to do it or not. But if they do get pulled for verification, yes, you do have to do a confirming review. All right, question number 6. All CEs are required to conduct direct verification in the verification process. Okay, so the question is about that Texas Elms thing. So do you have to do direct verification or is it optional? So this is kind of a tricky one. So we know we have to do direct certification, but do you have to do direct verification? Any guesses? Okay, good, false, that's right. So it's actually, you don't have to. And especially, yeah, if you're a little tiny district and you're only doing one, I'd still run it through and make sure. But the answer is false. Conducting direct verification is not required. However, it may streamline the process. Yeah, Pia got it right. You don't have to, but you definitely should. So imagine if you have to pull 50 applications, you run it through direct verification and 10 of them match SNAP or Medicaid, you're now only having to reach out to 40 people and only sending out 40 letters. So this is going to save you a ton of time. So yes, please do. All right, question number 7. True or false? When a CE conducts direct verification and matches eligibility on the application, the household is not required to be notified. So is this true or false? So a CE conducts direct verification, it matches. Good. This is true. Good. This is kind of a tricky one. So when a match is made using Texas Elms, the process is just complete. So you don't need to tell them, they're free. We're good. So the individual household report form is completed though and signed. So, and then you are going to put that result in that final report in November. Good job. All right, number 8, name 2 types of income that are excluded from verification. I don't think I talked about this, but there's a few things where if let's say a dad is working in a job and he makes overtime, they're not requiring you to put overtime in because that's not like normal pay. It would just be extra pay just for maybe that month. So what they're looking for is a normal amount of money that you're getting. Also in the military, they have combat pay. You do not have to include that. So again, if you have questions about that specifically, let us know. Good. We can look it up in the ARM, but other than that, usually just if you're making money, it's got to go on that. Okay. Number 9, What TDA required form must be used to track verification activity and results for each household? And where is it located? So do you remember what the name of that thing was? It's the fancy form, the checklist form. Anyone remember what it's called? I don't expect you to remember, but you do need to know where to find it. You guys remember where to find it? All right, so it's called the verification report / individual household form. It is on Square Meals. So once again, you go to the National School Lunch Program page, look at eligibility and verification, and then click on that little rectangle. Good. Application verifications go all the way down to the bottom and click on that hyperlink and it'll bring you to that. And that's where you're going to print those off. So if you have to pull 12 verification, print 12 of them, just get ready and get organized so you're ready to go. All right, number 10, where are verification report resources located? Okay, any ideas? So there's a couple of different places you can find them. You can look on Square Meals. There's the Texas Elms webpage that has like some really good videos and tutorials. They're called Articulates. So it's sort of like a self-paced tutorial. Excellent. Great. Also, you can go to the Region 11 Child Nutrition page. And I think, can we, I don't know, Heather, if you're able to, but maybe put a link. I don't know if you've already done it, but put a link in the chat to bring us to our child nutrition page. It's just the one that has all the resources. So we've got everything linked in there too. I'm also going to, I'm recording this webinar, so I'm going to post it. So if you need to go back, but yeah, there's lots of resources. So if you need help, please reach out to us. We're happy to help. All right, that's it for our quiz. So yeah, we're going to post slides. We'll have it all posted up on our website. So just in summary, the road to success. So October 1st, you're going to establish your count. You're going to count all the currently approved applications. Number 2, determine the sampling method. Thank you, Heather. So Heather just posted that link. Number 2, the sampling method. So you're going to see if you're going to be a standard or if you want to use an alternate method. Again, that is posted on Square Meals too. You can look up your district and see what TDA is determined for you. And if you can't find that, call us and we can look it up for you. Then number 3 is selecting the households. Number 4 is running a direct verification on October 5th in Texas Elms. And then you need to send out the notification letters to all those households. And then number 5 is validate the eligibility and follow up. So we're calling, emailing, texting our families, trying to get those documents in, following up. You do as hard as you can. And then on November 15th, if you don't hear back from anyone, you just terminate them. So, and then finally, number 6 is complete your record keeping and reporting. Just make sure you're organized and you've got it all tidy in your files. So if you are up for a TDA administrative review, you can just hand them your file folder and you're good to go. They just want to make sure you understand the rules and you're organized and you're doing it right. And make sure you've got that verification report, individual household form on each household that you're verifying. And also just from me, I know this is a tough process and it's very top heavy at the beginning of the school year. It's hard. Reach out for help. If you're feeling overwhelmed, ask people in your office to give you a hand. Don't drown here. Reach out and get help from your coworkers. And also, one other piece of advice, I think you have to go through the process one whole time at least once to kind of wrap your head around it. And the next time you do, it'll be a lot easier. So anyway, I'm going to stick around and Heather's going to stick around. So if you have any questions, please stay on, type in the chat or just unmute yourself and ask questions. We'll be here for at least 10 more minutes if you want to chat or have specific questions. Otherwise, thank you very much for being here today. And I hope you learned a lot. Have a great day, guys. Yeah, any questions, let me know.
Also, last chance, if you haven't put your name and district in the chat, please do so before you leave. Thank you.
Thank you, Heather. All right. Hi, Leanne. Okay. Do we need to send a notice 10 days before October 1st? No. So what we're doing is you're on October 1st, that's when you're pulling your amount of verifications that you need to do. So it's a math equation to find out how many you have to do. So it's usually 3%. And then once you get that big list of people, you're going to run a direct verification. And if no one matches on that, then you send the letters out at that time to all those families. So hopefully that makes sense. You don't have to do it in advance. Like you don't need to tell people, hey, you might get verified. You don't need to do that. Okay. Do you have a template for the write-up verification process for audit? Okay. Do you have a template for the write-up verification process? Maria, can you explain that more? I'm not really sure what you mean by that. I think, Maria, there is, if you go to our notes in the child nutrition page, there's a bunch of links. There's one link that links a TDA. It's like a 3-page paper and it just tells the timeline and exactly kind of what you need to do, sort of like a to-do list. And it explains everything that you need to do. So as far as like audit, like an administrative review, what they're going to be looking for, what they're going to be looking for is that your sample size was correct. So on your October 1st, your count of applications that it was calculated correctly. And then they're going to actually pull your sample and look through them and make sure that you did the chart correctly, the income eligibility chart. So making sure that it was verified properly. They're also going to look at all of your applications that were denied. So it's, yeah, if you want more information on what the administrative review looks at for eligibility, I can help you with that too. We can email you. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Collateral contact. Does the documentation have to come from the pastor or other person or from parent? Yeah, pretty much that's a good question, Yudi. So if, let's say it's a single mom and she's not making it and she goes to the pastor at church and the pastor's like, hey, we can pay your rent for 3 months or what, or we can we're going to pay your car payment or whatever, or we're whatever it is, anything that's financial or monetary, just a note or an email from the pastor saying, hey, I'm helping this family pay their rent for the last 3 months until she finds a job. It's basically just proving that how do I explain it? It's like, it's impossible to live without money. So you're showing how you're eating and how you've got a roof over your head. So if you're crashing with your sister, you could have the sister write a note and say, hey, my sister lost her job and she's living at our house and she's been here for 5 months and she's just eating our food and we're basically just supporting her right now. Does that make sense, Yudi? It's just basically explain, how is this person not have income? How are they surviving?
Wendy, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, in that situation, would you then use the sister's income as well?
No, I mean, that's a really good question, but it's just, if it's a household, so if it's like a mom with 3 kids and they're declaring no income, that's their household. I mean, I see what you're saying because it can get confusing. We're assuming the sister's not actually giving this girl cash. She's just eating out of their fridge and not paying rent. Does that make sense? So yeah, again, if on a case by case, give me a call and we'll talk through it.
Okay, no, that makes sense because
okay.
Sometimes they'll say, well, I'm not homeless because I am living here, and then I'm like, well, if they're supporting you, then we need their income then.
Right.
So, you know, there's kind of that line of how do they define themselves as well. So I just want to make sure that I'm not doing anything quote unquote
Yeah.
illegal or that I'm not supposed to say.
No,
Okay.
no, I mean, I know it's tricky, but that's a great question. Yeah, let's go case by case on that. So if you pull something on verification where they said no income, just call me. But
Okay.
you're
Sounds
gonna
good.
have to get on the phone with them and just figure out what their situation is and just say, hey, look, you know, I believe you that you don't have a job or you don't have income, but
Yes.
we have to prove it in order for you to stay on the program.
Okay.
And
Okay.
usually people that have no income are going to be on SNAP or something.
Right. Right.
You'll pick them up on direct verification, but yeah, there's some weird ones like that. So
Okay. All right. Thank you.
yeah, you're welcome. Okay, let me see if I can get through these. Who have I missed? All right.
Okay, I see one from Abigail,
Okay.
and I'm gonna share my screen. I believe this is on Square Mills. but,
Okay, awesome.
Okay, hold on, let me see. Oh,
I'll stop
Wendy.
my
Okay,
share. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
and here we go.
So Abigail.
Okay, so she asked if it shows up on direct verification as reduced, but they were free by application. What do they do?
Yes.
And there's this page about when Medicaid reduced conflicts with an income-based household application.
Thank
And
you.
so it goes through different circumstances, but if direct verification shows that the income-based application says free and direct verification shows reduced, then the CE would go through the normal verification process.
Perfect. Yeah, that's a great sheet. Yeah, that's in Square Meals. That's a really good page because yeah, sometimes you get conflicting on that.
Yeah.
Especially when they pull up Medicaid reduced, but then they did a household income and they said they are free. So it's pretty common. Yeah,
Yeah.
that is pretty common. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Heather. All right,
You're welcome.
let's see what other questions we got here. All right. I think she said, okay. Okay, sorry about that, Maria. Okay, do we need to keep the parents' income information after verification is done? Yes. So good question. So we need to keep everything for 5 years. That's a Texas rule. Other states it's 3. But yeah, you just keep it in your file. And keep it in a locked file if you can. But yeah, you need to keep all that stuff in the file. It's just because if there was ever an issue or TDA needed to go back and review that you've got it ready for them. So yeah, do not throw that away. Okay, the last one, when they show proof of income, do we need to attach it to the form or just verify this? We saw it. Okay, great, great question. So what I did was I would like make photocopies of it. So if they brought in pay stubs, I would just go to the copier machine and print it and then make notes on it and give them back their original. I did have people sometimes just mail in copies, or I had people give me original documents, which I felt uncomfortable with, but yeah, you definitely need to attach it and show proof. Absolutely. So you can't just say, yeah, I saw their pay stub and they're good. So good question. Yes, keep copies of everything. Even if they take a picture and text it to you, that works. Just forward it to your email and print it out and put it in your file. So yes, does that make sense? I hope I answered that right. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Good questions. When they show proof of income, oh yeah, I just read that one. Can you send us a link to that page? Yes. Do you want the link to that page of when it's conflicting Medicaid reduced and
Yes, ma'am. The one that Miss
Okay.
Heather showed. Yes.
Okay, yeah, we'll look that up and we can email it to you too. Oh, thanks, Heather. Okay, Heather's looking for any other questions. I'm happy to stay on as long as you guys have questions. Okay. All right. Any other questions? All right, okay, well, thank you guys, everybody, for being here today, and we'll have this all posted up on our website, so have a great day, and once again, if you have questions, let us know, and good luck, and you can do it, so hang in there. All right, have a great day, bye. See ya. Thank you. Thank you very much. Hi, Adam. Have a great day, everybody. See ya.